Hey, my friend, this is Joe Bakhmoutski, author of Simplify Cancer, Man's Guide to Navigating the Everyday Reality of Cancer. I want to welcome you to challenge number 2. What now? I want to thank you so much for being here. Thank you for taking the time to really go through this stuff and getting the book. Because here I'm sharing the best thing that I've got, the real life practical advice on getting through cancer, including all the things that nobody is telling you. And in this video course, I'm sharing the 4 challenges that all of us men must overcome when we're dealing with cancer. I hope you're going through it in the right order. I hope you went through challenge number 1, why me? Right? Which is where we talk about dealing with the shock of the diagnosis. Right? And this is challenge number 2. What now? Where we're going to talk about how to deal with treatment and how to build trust with your medical team, how to know what's going on every step of the way and deal with worry. Right? Because cancer is really, it's like a foreign country, right? Where you don't speak the language and you don't have a map to really just get around. Right? So you really have to try to navigate your way and make your way through it somehow and learn all these rules and learn the new lingo and understand really what's going on so you can really understand what happens. Because isn't it true that in many ways you become this slave to the medical system? Right? There's all these people telling you go in and fill in, another useless form, or go in and come in this incredibly inconvenient time because it's the only one available, or here's this long list of possible side effects that could might never happen, but they will ruin your life. Right? All of these things happen, and it's just so complex, right? There's all these specialists, there's all these different people, and you have to work around them all and try to see how they all fit together. And it's nobody's fault because it's hard. There's a lot of things going on, but it makes you feel so powerless, right? Because you don't know what's going on, and you kind of lose control of your own life, right? You end up at the wrong end of things. You end up at the end of things where things happen to you, right? Instead of you being as a man, you're used to kind of taking control of the situation and making things happen, and now things are just kind of happening to you, and things are kind of spiraling out of control. But now, my friend, is the time to take your power back, right? And I'll tell you about a time in my life when I really realized this. I went to see my oncologist for the first time, and when we sat down, I said, "Look, for where you are with testicular cancer, there's really 2 ways to go. We can either do this type of chemotherapy, and there's all the, side effects that are not really fun, or you can do radiation therapy, which is a lot less intense, but it has, the potential of causing a completely different cancer down the line. So I'll send you off to a radiation oncologist so you can talk to him, and then you can kind of think about it and decide which is the right way to go." I was like, wait a second, aren't you the expert? Aren't you supposed to tell me what is the right way to go? It kind of made me uncomfortable. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought about just feeling so out of control with what's happening and being told what to do. And I decided that I'm going to take this opportunity to not only make decisions about my treatment, or potentially life and death decision, but I'm also gonna from now on, I'm gonna take charge. Enough. I'm gonna be in control of this whole thing. I'm gonna be in control of cancer, and from now on, I'm gonna be making decisions about everything. And I think that's where you should be, my friend, to take your power back and decide that you are gonna do it. You're going to take charge of the situation and you're going to figure things out. And this is when you're going to feel in control. This is when you get some of that peace of mind back. This is when you're going to feel like you know exactly what's happening every step of the way. And that's what it's about. And it's going to make you feel like you know what's happening, like it's your life and it's back and you own it, right? And I think it starts with trusting your specialist, right? Because it's navigating cancer is like going through these dark woods, and you've never been there before, and it's scary and it's full on, and you don't know what's going on, and you want someone there to guide you. And in order for someone to guide you, kind of want to put your trust in them, and really think about it, that this person really has the best interests at heart. They're here to help you. They're not just here to just be the magical expert. They're here really to make sure that you have the confidence to get through this. They're here to be kind of your partner in all this, right? Where you can uh, really trust them, and trust means that you can ask them questions, right? You can talk to them about anything, right? And even though they are the medical experts, but I gotta tell you that nobody knows you like you know yourself. So you gotta speak about what is important to you and what's bothering you right now. What's on your mind? What's bothering you at this very moment? What's keeping you up at night? What scares you the most and why? What do you need from them? How can they help you? What would make your life easier, right? You gotta have, I think, key questions to ask your specialist. And you want to think about it in advance, because it's just so overwhelming what's happening, and there's so much going on that you want to be able to think through it in advance, because it's so easy to forget, right? You want to be asking them about things that are important to you, like, what are my treatment options? Which is the best way to go and why? Can you tell me what it's going to feel like? Will I still be able to do X? What can I do about the Y side effect if it comes up? What happens if I don't go through with this type of treatment? When will the treatment take place? How can I prepare? All of those questions and more, whatever you've got, can really make your life easier. And to kind of make things even easier for you, I've prepared a first visit oncologist checklist, right? It's an easy to print PDF that you can just print out and take with you. It's got all the key questions that you want to be asking your specialist. It's got space to make notes. And it also makes sure that it's like prompts you to ask those questions that you don't forget. There's not a million questions, there's just the key questions that you want to be thinking about. And it helps you to lead the conversation, to make sure that you are the one who's talking, taking the reins and talking about things that are important to you and your life. And it's something that you can show your partner or your friend, and say, what do you think about that? And again, when you make notes, it will also means that you can refer to it later if something's not clear, or if you think you missed something. So it's just a free tool for you. It's here in the special section online on the website. So please go there and download the PDF, print it out, and take it with you. It's not only important for your first visit, for any visit really, but especially the first with any type of cancer specialist, whether that's urologist or surgeon or hematologist, whoever that might be. The other thing I would highly advise to you, and this is what I've been told through several guests, oncologists and urologists that I've had on my Simplify Cancer podcast, is they've strongly recommended recording the conversation. Right, it's so easy to do. Right, you've got the phone there, you've got the microphone. Just basically you flip out your phone, press record, and go. Right, so just ask your specialist before and say, "Is it okay if I record our conversation? I just want to make sure that I don't miss out on anything." And most people will be more than happy for you to do that, because they know that it's your peace of mind at stake, and they want to make sure that you are happy with what's going on. So I want to talk to you about this whole crazy time with cancer, when one thing like a pain or an ache just triggers you off, just sets you off on this wild, crazy ride. Because maybe in a normal in your normal world, you might have paid it no mind. You might have paid it no attention. It could be a headache, right? Something as innocent as that. But right now you're thinking, is it cancer? Is it growing? Has it spread? Or is this a side effect from treatment? Is this something that's going to ruin my life? Or is this something else altogether? What should I do? How do I deal with this whole thing? Right? It really sends you down this spiral of doom where, it started out with something that you might have even forgotten about. And it just makes you just completely freaking out and you can't stop thinking about it. And it's always there at the back of your mind. Well, that's why I want to share with you a process, a structured process to work through worries, right? The process that I call 4 gates of stability. And the reason why I call it that is I really think of it as kind of like a medieval city, right? I grew up in a city like that in Europe. And in medieval city, you typically have several levels, right? And each level kind of is surrounded by a wall, right? So if you wanted to, if you were like an army of invaders, you had, in order to get to the castle or the duke or whatever, you had to break through several layers of the city. So it was pretty difficult, right? And this is what we want to do here as well. So at each gate, we want to stop more and more worries so that it doesn't end up really getting to you. So that's what we're going to do. So we want to be able to take the emotion out of the situation and want to replace it with logic so that you can weigh things up properly and then you can decide what to do next, right? Because you're going to work through your worries in a deliberate and methodical manner, right? So I'm going to take you through each of the 4 gates right now. So the first gate is your sanity check, right? And this is why we're going to try and stop your mind from wandering off in any number of directions at a million times an hour. So just so that you can stop and analyze it and work out a plan of action, right? We want to make sure that we make no assumptions before evidence, right? We want to examine exactly what you're dealing with in a measured, rational way. So, and to deal with the specific worry, we're going to use the tool that I came up with called the outcome map to help you visualize all of the possibilities of the situation so you can decide what to do next. So, here's how outcome maps can help you. It can help you to bring up worry for close inspection, right? Because sometimes, like we talked about, these things, they just kind of take a life on its own and it spiral out of control. We want to see it for what it really is so you can decide what to do about it. You can really ground yourself and assess the situation in a calm, rational way so you're not kind of really getting emotional and worked up about it, right? Then we want to figure out what caused it and what are the possible outcomes so that now you can kind of again weigh it up and decide what to do about it. And you can determine the likelihood and then decide on the plan of action. Like, what are you actually going to do about it? And that's going to make your life so much easier. So here is an example because I do this myself, obviously. So here is an example for a specific pain or ache, right? So in my case, I've had an operation to remove the testicle, and then I started to have pain in the remaining one. And I started to immediately freak out. I was thinking, is the cancer back? Does it mean I'm going to have another operation? Does it mean I'm going to have testosterone problem? Does this mean, is they going to cut it out? Does this mean that I'm not going to be able to have sex? Does this mean that I'm not going to be able to work? Does this mean that my wife is going to leave me? I was just completely freaking out. But making kind of a map like this, I wrote out all the possible things and put down a percentage of likelihood of what that is. And I kind of just took a couple of minutes to think through it and write it down in front of me. It really helped to visualize and make sense about it, and that it's probably not nothing to do with cancer. And it helped me to really think about what I can do next, to really take the kind of the overarching emotion out of it. So this is what we can do. Here is how you can do it for yourself, for your worry right now. Take any specific worry that you have. Here is what we're going to do. So you're going to only need a pen, paper, and 5 minutes of your time. So in the middle of the page, you're going to write down the specific pain, ache, or other worry that's troubling you right now. You're going to write down each probable outcome on the side. You just go crazy, just put down whatever, all the things that you think it could possibly be. It may be a side effect, it could be a complication from treatment, it could be a muscle problem, whatever you think it could be, just put it down, right? Then spend 30 seconds on each one to think through how likely that outcome actually is. And that is just your best guess. And put the percentage for each one. What do you think that is? How likely is it? It's not a scientific thing. It's just your best guess of what you think it could be. Right? So please put it on pause and go through it right now. Cool. So hopefully you've gone through it and you got something in front of you. So now when you look at it and when you can see it for what it is, and you can assess it in a calm, rational way, now is the chance to determine what is the one thing that you can do about this today. What can you do? Is it maybe call up your specialist? Is it go to see your doctor? What can you do right now? Because doing something today, even if it's booking an appointment, if it's putting a question on an online forum for your type of cancer, if it's talking to your counselor, if it's calling up your cancer nonprofits, if it's just talking about it with your partner, what is the one thing you can do right now, today, that will put you in the place where you are doing something about it? It's not just sitting there driving you insane. It's actually you're taking proactive action, right? You're doing something about it, which is cool, which is really important. It's going to make you feel like you're in control of this in some way, right? And that's what it's all about, because you are doing something about it. You're influencing the situation. Cool. So this was gate number one. That was your sanity check. Now it's going to be gate number two, the survivor check, right? And this is an interesting one, right? Because when you go through cancer, you feel so alone, right? You feel like you're the only one going through this thing, right? And while your experience with cancer, it's unique, but there's people who've been through this before. There's people who've been through exact same treatment. They've had to sort out through pains and aches. They've had to make decisions, right? They've been there. They understand what it's like. And they also understand the value of sharing that experience and supporting each other through this crazy time, right? But how do you find these people, right? You can't just exactly walk out in the middle of the street and say, hey, is there anyone who's gone through BAP chemotherapy for testicular cancer? That's not going to happen, right? You have to find them somewhere. And of course, you can do that in person. But the best way to leverage someone's perspective, just like we do with anything else, just like when we're choosing a book on Amazon or reading reviews, that's how we choose. We get opinions from different people, right? The best way to leverage first-hand experience is to connect with those people online, right? Is to connect with them in online communities that are typically focused around a type of cancer, right? And that's why I highly recommend that you do, because there are people who get you. So, and to do that, you find an online forum for your type of cancer. I'll show you exactly how to do it in a minute, but I want to share with you on the process to do that. When you find one, is to spend, about 5 minutes, hopefully each day, just to looking at other people's posts, because a lot of it might really apply to you and give you a feel for what sort of questions are people asking, what sort of answers are they getting, how often do people post, all those sorts of things, right? Because you will see who is the most active. You can see that will give you kind of a really good feel, right? It's kind of like, walking into a job and kind of knowing what people are like. It just gives you a heads up, right? And when you put up your question, when you put up whatever is bothering you, think of your post title, right? Because it's like a discussion forum, and your post post title is really like an email's subject line, so that the reader can really instantly tell if this is a conversation where they can contribute, where they can instantly tell, hey, yeah, I've been in this situation, you know, I've been, say, through this type of treatment, and I've had this pain, and yeah, this is where I can help. Right? So you want to be able to make it easy for someone to just jump in and help you out. Right? It's going to stick out so that they can really understand that it's really relevant to them and they can jump in and help out. And then the body of the topic is where it's kind of like the body of the email, where you really describe where you're at, where you started from, what's bothering you, and what is it that you really want to find out. So that people can really jump in and answer and just kind of read through the detail, which could be, 3 or 5 or 7 sentences or whatever that is for you, just being succinct so that you can really explain to people where you're at so that they have a really good idea of how they can jump in without asking too many questions to understand where you're at. So to make things easier for you, because I think it's so important to connect with people. It's just this most under-leveraged resource out there, right? Because when you combine the expertise of your medical team and you combine it with the real life lived experience of people who've been through this before, you really get the best of both worlds. So to make things easier for you, I put an online community guide, right? Which has top 3 online communities for most cancers, right? So it's it's I think it's fantastic to connect with people who really get you. They know what it's like, and they can answer your specific questions. Right? It's anonymous. No one knows who you are, so you kind of have the complete trust, right? Because they're people who understand where you're at. They know what you're going through, and they're here to help you, to answer your questions, to just give you support, right? It's great for both people who go through cancer and for caregivers. Is and caregivers is really anyone who gives a crap about you. It's your partner, it's your mother, it's your sister, it's your best friend, anyone who wants to know what it's like. And they can jump in and ask questions and get support and talk to people, right? Because that's what it's all about. So just get that in our section. I think it's gonna help you out so much, my friend. Please go through it. It will really serve you. So now we come to gate number 3. Gate of stability number 3, which is the specialist check, right? Because your specialist, if they're any good, will always want to know how you are doing. If something is bothering you, don't wait until the next appointment and torture yourself. Just call your specialist office or the hospital and book a time. And if you don't hear back that day, well, find out if you can speak to an oncology nurse. And if she's not available, well, talk to your family doctor. Because if your family doctor can't answer your specific question, it's their job to find someone who can. Right? It's all about getting answers. It's all about understanding what's going on and not holding it in, because this is when those things get to you. This is when they drive you insane, and that's not what we want to do. We want to make sure that we clear things up as soon as possible so that you know what's going on. And in being really connected with your specialist, with your medical team, that is the true difference between just getting treatment and true healing, right? Because this is when you are connected with them. You feel like they're looking after you. You feel like they have your best interests in mind. And it's a two-way street, right? If you're open, if you put your trust in these people, right? As you should, because that's why they're doing this. I've met so many fantastic people through my cancer journey and through meeting people online and going to conferences. And I know that the folks in the oncology space are just incredible, right? They're here because they want to help. So let them help you. Ask questions, be open, talk to them, say thank you. Everyone appreciates it. And because sometimes we don't do it enough. So just As long as you're asking questions, as long as you're connected, as long as you are there getting answers to your questions, you're going to be in control of the situation. You're going to feel a bit more relaxed because you're doing something about it. Now we come to gate number 4 of the 4 gates of stability, which is your supporter check. Because now, really, my friend, is the time to reach out to your people and let them know how they can help you. Because let's face it, if you're not going to talk to them now, if they're not going to help you and support you during cancer, they never will, right? Because this is a critical time in your life. It's tough. Let's face it, cancer is no walk in the park. And also, I gotta tell you, in a way that keeping worries to yourself is also selfish because you're keeping your people in the dark, which makes it harder for them to feel needed in your life, to feel connected, to feel like they understand you and understand what's going on. They feel also just like you, they feel helpless, they feel powerless, they feel like they don't know what's going on. That's what it's all about. And sometimes they may not be able to help you, but guess what? They can still listen to you. They can still have a conversation with you. They can still just be there for you, right? And it gives you an opportunity to just vent and just talk about things that are bothering you so that they can support you in making a decision about what to do about it all. Or just being there and listening, right? And not necessarily giving you advice or being able to help you directly, but they can just be there and listen. And I gotta tell you, if you don't have anyone that you wanna share your worries with, because that can happen as well, you might not feel comfortable, then find a professional. There's so many fantastic counselors and psychologists out there who work specifically with people like you and me, people who go through cancer, right? And I wish I knew this before because it would have been great talking to someone about it. I only found out about it so much later, just stumbling onto people and different services through my Simplify Cancer podcast. I wish I knew this before because these people are there and they know what it's like. They understand cancer. They won't judge you. They know how to listen, which is really important because a lot of people don't. And they really want to help. So, they can give you great advice. And if you don't follow any of the advice, they can just listen to you. It's like being, with a stranger on a train, just someone who is there for you and is there to just lend an ear and you can just open up and talk about anything at all. So here is our 4 gates of stability. I want to kind of just wrap this whole thing up and give you some action steps. And as always, these are really the mindsets that you can take on in your life during treatment. So, first of all, I will prepare questions for my specialist appointment to clear up worries and have a clear understanding of what's happening. We talked about that. Please use the first visit oncologist checklist. Make up your own questions if you need them. Just write them down beforehand so that you don't forget. Next, to clear up any worries that come up, I will ask my specialist for additional way to contact and set up a follow-up appointment. This is really key. If they're any good, and most of them are, they will feel completely comfortable with giving you their email or phone number or another way to get in touch. Otherwise, just set up a follow-up appointment, earlier than when you've got it scheduled in, right? So that you can clear up any questions that you have. That takes precedence over everything else. Your peace of mind is what is at stake. And to help me make decisions about treatment, I will get a second opinion with another specialist by asking my doctor for the referral. Again, this is something that I had no idea about, and this is something that specialists, multiple specialists, oncologists, urologists have shared with me on my Simplify Cancer podcast. That's what they all said. Go and get a second opinion. The specialist won't mind. They understand that these are big decisions, these are big moments. And if you not feel comfortable about anything, go and get a second opinion. Every specialist will be happy to refer you. Your family doctor can refer you. Your hospital can refer you. So go ahead, don't wait, get another opinion. If it will make you feel better, go for it. Absolutely, by all means. Next, I will ask my oncologist, nurse, specialist for their email, phone number, method of contact. That's what we talked about. Please do that. Make sure that you have a way of somehow getting in touch and getting answers. Next, I like the idea of having designated worry time, and I have scheduled mine to happen at X time. We've talked about this already, right? We talked about dealing with worries. We talked about writing their worries out. We talked about using the outcome map for breaking down the specific worry. This is what it's about, my friend. Working through your worries in a calm, methodical way. I know that this is a scary time. It's tough. There's a lot going on. But you can do this, my friend. I believe in you. I think you can get through this and have the life that you truly deserve despite cancer. I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for going through this. I hope this helps you along. And I will see you in the next challenge.